Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Today I will be presenting a guide to probable questions and answers for an MSc or PhD defense. Number one, what is the main contribution of your research? How to answer this question? Briefly state the key implication of the study and then explain your main contributions. That is, start with the significance and then move towards the specifics. For example, you can start by saying, my research work offers a critical solution to a long-standing problem then you state your field in which you're carrying out that study by establishing that now you explain your findings. Number two, can you explain the methodology used in your research work? How to answer this question? In this instance, focus on the why and not just the what. Explain the method used and why they are appropriate. Then, how they are particularly suited in answering your research question. For example, say, I employed research methods. You now mention them. Mention the research method. You say, I use a survey to ensure reliability of my findings. These methods were chosen because you explain the rationale for choosing them. Number three, what limitation does your study have? How to answer? Highlight briefly 2 or 3 limitations while explaining them. Note you have to explain how you try to mitigate them and why they don't significantly impact your overall findings. For example, you can say, while this study has limitations such as you mentioned and mentioned, it is important to note that steps were taken to mitigate this, including you list some of the steps. Therefore, the overall findings remain robust. Number four, can you discuss the significance of your chosen theory and why you chose it for your study? How to answer? Here, focus on the theoretical framework and its contribution to your research. Briefly explain how your chosen theory informed your research and analyze why it is useful to the understanding of your topic. For example, you can start by saying, unlike other theories, this theory uniquely captures the complexity of, you mentioned the phenomenon under investigation. This allows for a nuanced and insightful analysis. So you see, you capture that. Number five, how would you react to criticism of your methodology? How do you answer this question? Acknowledge potential weaknesses, but defend your choices. Pick out one potential criticism of your methodology and explain why you think your choice is appropriate and justified. Be open to corrections without undermining your work. For example, say, this methodology, though not without limitations, was selected particularly for its suitability to address my research question. Its strengths, you explain 1 or 2, provide strong foundation for my findings. Nevertheless, I recognize the potential of an alternative methodology, or I recognize the potential of alternative methodological approach. Number six, how does your research work differ from existing work? How to answer? Highlight key innovations and unique aspects of your work that makes it different from existing studies and explain them. For example, you can say, my work offers a novel perspective on, you mentioned the field. True, you mentioned the innovation and unique aspects. This fresh approach is demonstrated by you compare the unique aspects with the existing research work. So you see that presentation makes it easy to bring out the difference between your work and existing work. Number seven, how do your results impact the broader field of your study? You may be asked this question. How to answer this kind of question? Now, connect your work to the real world implications by first stating the broader significance of your findings and provide 1 or 2 specific examples of how your research work could be applied. Now, for example, you can say, this research offers potential solutions to challenges in, you mention some of the areas or application. This is significant because you mentioned broader impact. Number 8, how do you establish the reliability and validity of data? How to answer this? Be specific about the measures you took. Mention one or two strategies used to establish reliability and validity. For example, you can say, following established best practices, I ensured reliability. Then you mention some of the measures you use. For example, data triangulation, test retest, inter-rater reliability, and so on and so forth. And validity through, mention maybe phase validity, content validity, and so on. Number 9, how did you handle ethical consideration in your research work? How to answer? Demonstrate your commitment to ethical research by mentioning one or two ethical consideration in your research. Then mention specific steps you took to address them. For example, you can say, from the outset, ethical considerations were paramount in my research design. These include obtaining informed consent, rigorously protecting confidentiality, and you mention some of the measures you have taken. Potential ethical concerns were carefully addressed, always adhering to, you mention some guidelines, relevant ethical guidelines that you adhered to. Number 10, what future research work do you recommend based on your findings? How to answer? Suggest future directions considering both limitations and promising areas based on your findings. For example, you can say, urgent exploration of, you mention some areas, is needed to address the knowledge gap as identified in my research finding. This research is essentially for developing a more robust understanding of, you mention some part of your topic. Number 11, how do your conclusions align with your initial research questions? How to answer? Restate your research questions and link them to each of your findings as stated in your conclusion. For example, you can say, my conclusion provides clear and specific answers to my initial research questions. Revisit these questions, but just list them one after the other. The finding demonstrates that, you summarize key findings. Number 12, what is the practical impact of your research work? How to answer this question? Explain one or two specific application of your research. Mention the potential impact or benefits they could have. Be specific and optimistic. For example, say, my research tackles real world problem by offering practical insights for, you mention some specific and practical application. Applying these findings could lead to advancement in, you describe potential areas or potential real world impact. If you like these videos, please give it a thumbs up so that others can see it or will see it. Always remember to subscribe if you have not done so. Until next time, keep learning.